Live on LBC, Mary Bousted, the Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union. Welcome to the programme. What do you think of what's happened?
I'm reminded of the saying by Winston Churchill that the Americans will always do the right thing when there are no other alternatives available. And I think that's what's happened now. Gavin Williamson has, in the end, done the right thing, having explored all of their options and found that they don't pass muster.
Where does this leave universities? How do they make decisions now on who gets in and who doesn't?
I just think it's incredibly difficult now because Gavin Williamson set his face against using centre-assessed grades when it became very clear, and I don't know why it took him till the weekend to understand that the grades that Ofqual had distributed were not fair. It seemed to me that was perfectly clear on Thursday. Became even clearer on Friday. So in the interim between Thursday and today, Monday, many students will have found that the course that they wanted to do at the university of their choice is no longer available because there's a record number of students applying to university from the UK already, and that's because the jobs market is very poor for 18-year-olds. COVID's made that worse. So it was already going to be, a competitive year. And what we've now found is that certain students who were downgraded 1 or 2 grades now have had those grades restored, but may find, and many are finding, that their place is gone. So the injustice which has been done them, it's been partially rectified. They've got their grades, but they haven't got the outcome of those grades, which is university place.
And what about students who have reason to be unhappy with the assessment the teacher has given them?
Well, that's another question. And the one that I was listening to a teacher earlier who said, I had to mark my centre-assessed grades down because we had to take into account the historical achievements of that school or that college. And so there may well be unfairnesses there. But there is a limit to what we can do now. We are where we are now. I think using the centre-assessed grades is the best place that we can be now, despite all their imperfections. And this was, using centre-assessed grades, which are unmoderated, is no panacea. It creates some problems. But given where we are, given the amount of time we have before university start, given that we're 3 days before GCSE results, then this is the only place where we could end up.
Do we simply have to accept then that there is going to be, despite everyone's best efforts or worst efforts, depending on your point of view, an enormous amount of unfairness, people with broken hearts about their first or second choices being given to them, then snatched away, or vice versa, that this year of COVID will go down in these narrow education terms as being demonstrably unfair to who knows how many people?
Yes, I think that there will remain to be unfairness as a result of this. I mean, I think it's important to add a bit of caution to that. We know that in any given year, and Ofqual admitted this weekend, up to 40% of students may get the wrong grade. So there's no perfect qualification system. What's happened this year is simply that those imperfections have been exposed very clearly. We have to do better. We should have done better this year, but I believe we have to do better with GCSE and A-levels anyhow. And to do that, we have to now, as the Scottish Government has done, institute a proper review into how we assess GCSEs and A-levels. Should we concentrate simply on the exam, or should we look at a wider range of evidence? Because the greater range of evidence you use, the more likely you are to come to a really robust grade, because you're using a wider range of sources. So we really need to look at that now.
Thank you for talking to us. Mary Bousted, the Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union.